In Part 9 of the Vigyan Bhairav text, today we will describe in detail topics such as Madhya, the center, Sharadva, the six paths, and Drishti Bandhan, gaze-locking practices. It's an incredibly profound section we're exploring today, so let's jump right in. Okay, looking at our roadmap, we're going to systematically break down this dialogue. We'll be covering the Shiva-Shakti dialogue, Drishti Bandhana, Sharadva, Madhya, the dual interpretations, and we'll wrap it all up with the practical steps. Section 1, the Shiva-Shakti dialogue, entering the void. So to really grasp this, we need to place ourselves right in the middle of this divine conversation. Imagine it. We are right there as Lord Shiva himself is actively revealing these deeply esoteric techniques to Mother Shakti. Specifically, they are focusing on entering the void, building directly on the foundation laid out in the preceding verses, Karikas 56 through 59. Now, what's beautiful here is that Shiva doesn't just respond with abstract theory or mere dogma. He gives her, and by extension us, precise, highly actionable meditation techniques that are completely anchored in shunya, or the void. When we hear the English word void, it's honestly so easy to think of it as just negative emptiness, right? Like a vacuum. But in the context of Tantric philosophy, shunya is actually incredibly full. It is this state of pure, unadulterated consciousness. There are zero physical objects or mental concepts to cling to. Instead, it acts as the ultimate canvas upon which all of reality is painted. Section 2, Drishti Bandhana, gaze fixation. Let's look at the very first specific technique presented in Krinvanto 60. The original Sanskrit text here gives us exact instructions on where to place our vision. Why? To forcefully bring the restless mind right into that state of shunya. The verse reads, Nirvriksha juri bityadi desha drishtim vinikshepet, viline manase bhave vrittikshina prajayate. Basically, Lord Shiva instructs Shakti to fix her gaze on a place completely devoid of trees, mountains, walls, or literally any other objects. And the promise here is that when the mind's normal supports dissolve through this unbroken gaze, our mental fluctuations just completely wane away. The yogi attains ultimate illumination. It's not just mystical, it's a profound biological and spiritual mechanism working together. Let's break down the padachetta, the word-by-word meaning, so we can really see the mechanics of this. The instruction is to lock your open eyes onto a place totally devoid of objects. Think of a vast, empty sky. First, we have nirvriksha, which literally means without trees. This represents an environment that is utterly free of any form whatsoever. Then drishti, which simply means the gaze. And finally, vritikshina, which is our ultimate goal here, the waning or complete destruction of mental modifications. Think about how your brain works. When your eyes have absolutely nothing to land on, no sharp edges to trace, no distinct colors to process, your visual cortex literally stops feeding your brain new data. Without that constant influx of new data, the mind loses its anchor. And when that happens, that endless, exhausting stream of daily thoughts just begins to evaporate. Section 3, Sharadva, the six paths. Now, the ancient commentary on that previous verse introduces us to a massive, macro-level cosmological concept called Sharadva, which means the six paths. This beautifully illustrates how, just by mastering this one act of gaze fixation, the practitioner completely bypasses the vast external universe of creation. These six paths, which comprise fundamental elements like letters, mantras, and the physical worlds, basically represent the totality of cosmic illusion and division. By staring intentionally into the featureless void, the yogi is outright refusing to engage with any of these six paths. You are effectively shutting down the external macro-universe at the sensory level. Because the mind finds absolutely no worldly objects to grasp onto across any of these paths, it has no choice but to retreat inward. The result? An intense, localized micromind of absolute stillness. Section 4, Madhya, entering the center. Okay, let's move along to Karka 61. There's a sequential logic here that flows right into Karka 62, showing us exactly what happens after the mind quiets down. Verse 61 describes the practice of nirolamba bhavana, which means existing entirely without any mental support. The verse goes, Ubayor bhavayar jane dhyatva madhyam samashayet, yugapa shedvyam jaktva madhye tattvam prakashate. What this means is that at the exact moment of cognizing two different states or objects, you should meditate on and take refuge in the center, that tiny interval right between them. By abandoning both the preceding thought and the succeeding thought at the exact same time, the ultimate reality, the tattva, shines brilliantly in that center gap. To really visualize this, imagine your mind transitioning between two distinct thoughts. The madhya is that exact tiny void in the center, the space between the departure of one thought and the arrival of the next. Think about it. We spend our entire lives violently bouncing from thought one straight to thought two. We remember something from the past, and then we instantly pivot to worrying about the future. But right between the end of the first thought and the beginning of the second, there's a gap. It's a microscopic fraction of a second where the mind is completely empty. That gap, that is the madhya. The entire goal of this practice is to first recognize and then actively expand that gap. The promise of this verse is phenomenal. It guarantees that if you can let go of dualistic thoughts simultaneously, the ultimate reality of Bhairav illuminates right there within that center gap. And look, this isn't just about kicking back and relaxing. It is an active, high-stakes cognitive release. By purposefully discarding the known object of your past thought while simultaneously refusing to grasp the to-be-known object of your future thought, you are left completely stranded in pure awareness. That specific state of unanchored awareness, niralamba abhavana, is where the supreme consciousness is suddenly and powerfully experienced.
Section 5. Dual Interpretations, Tantric Meanings.
As with so much of this tradition, the ancient commentators provide us with beautifully layered understandings of these verses. Texts like the Vigyan Bhairav were intentionally written to be understood on multiple levels all at once. So, on one hand, the literal religious practice involves a physical, visual locking to calm the mind. It's incredibly straightforward. You go outside, you find a completely cloudless sky, you stare at it without blinking, and your mind gets quiet. But on the other hand, the deeper tantric philosophical meaning is a radical, total dissolution of the illusion of dualism itself. The objects you are dissolving with your gaze actually represent the very concept of otherness. By locking the gaze on the void and finding that center between thoughts, the yogi destroys the persistent illusion that the observer and the observed are separate things. You achieve a state of complete, non-dual oneness.
Section 6. Practical Steps, Active Meditation.
So, you might be wondering, how do we actually apply this profound ancient wisdom as an active meditation in our lives today? Following the clear procedural logic of the text, it breaks down into 4 main steps. First, you establish a steady asana, a comfortable posture to completely remove bodily distractions. Next, you regulate your breath, calming the vital energy, the prana, through rhythmic breathing. Then comes step 3, which is the direct instruction from Karka 60, Drishti Bandhan. You open your eyes and lock them onto an entirely featureless space, like that clear blue sky we talked about. And the key is, do not let the eyes wander. As that visual input grinds to a halt, the mind naturally begins to stutter. And that brings us right to step 4 from Karka 61. As your thoughts inevitably slow down, you hunt for the gap. You look for the madhya between them. When you finally find that empty center, you rest your entire awareness right there. So, the ultimate question remains for you to answer through practice. What will you discover when you finally lock your gaze on the void between your thoughts? On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, we humbly request that if you found our presentation enlightening, please share this video widely so that authentic knowledge from Indian Vedic scriptures can reach everyone. Let us all come together to participate in this Gyan Yajna, offering of knowledge. Har Har Mahadev.